Okay. Okay. I'll send you a link, and I'll send the link to the Discord so the guys can join, and we can see if we need to adjust some levels or something. There you go with the link. Oh, wait. I cannot. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I need to keep you on your. I need to keep you on your tab, right? Because if no, I'm going to be showing the Discord. Okay, that's good. You're back. Um, yeah, let's. I'll be sharing. So, but hopefully, someone on the audience can tell us if our levels are fine. Please, talk a little bit, um, Dan, so we
We
know.
we will rock you like a hurricane.
That's a great mashup. I always remember we were in a school. We were like 16 or something, and we went to the yard during recess. There's this kid like in the middle of the football of the football. How do you call um
Soccer field?
of the field? Yeah,
Or you think
he was in the middle of the field, and he was like doing the boom boom clap, boom boom clap, and everyone is expecting him to start saying "We will rock you," and he starts going, "We are the champions."
so as an aside, by the way, the story I told you about the swim coach, that was legitimately true.
Oh my god, man!
Um no, he would just go like after
I,
the meet was done, he would just go, "Yeah, I can't be at the practice tomorrow morning. It's 5 a.m. I gotta celebrate my daughter's birthday, which was a week ago, actually." Eh. And his daughter's like 5, so you're just thinking, okay. And then we got ones that were like, "Oh, my dog's sick," and I'm like, "Okay."
okay, I'm I'm writing a tweet here. Um,
Oh, shit, I forgot to
okay, let me check the chat. No one here yet, so no one can tell us if the audio is working or not, which is very cool. But I'll be sharing a little bit more.
ignore the initial tag. I forgot to add the link. There we go. Fuck, I messed it up again. Okay.
This post was deleted by the post author.
I'm a fucking idiot. There we go. There we go. I'm there's where the sleep deprivation hits you. There we go. Third try.
Okay, okay, this should be good. Um, you put you again mess up the tweet because
Live with
you put
what did I do this
219
time?
now.
Son of a bitch. Okay. You know what? You know what? I retweeted yours. We're done. I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Shit.
that's good enough. That's good enough. Anyway,
It doesn't matter.
as soon as
Which
as
one
soon
was two?
as soon as there's someone in the chat that can let me know if what we're talking is coming through, we can begin with the breakdown. But I really need confirmation because I'm planning on
Yeah.
leaving the video up. So I really need someone to tell us, please. Or maybe you can hop into the video and tell me if the levels are fine.
Yeah, I think there's a way I can test that. Okay, I want you to start talking.
Okay, I'm talking now.
I want you to start talking. Okay, it works.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, we ball. If no one, if no one joins, it's whatever. We're
Yeah, I
doing
don't give a
we're
shit.
doing it live anyway.
Fuck it, we'll
So
do it live.
we do it live. That's how the saying goes. So welcome
Oh shit,
everyone.
two.
This is the UFC 319 review. We're here to break down the last pay-per-view. Me and my boy Dan Albert. Dan, how are you?
Heavily sleep deprived to the point that I thought this was UFC 219, not 319, which has led to now 4 deleted posts. Otherwise, we're doing good.
Do you know what was UFC 219?
Cyborg Holm.
It was
He
Cyber
was
Home,
Cyborg Holm.
yes. And the
Oh
co-main was
Jesus.
Habib versus Edson, which is it
Oh,
was a fight
a
for sure.
very funny fight.
Yeah. So yeah, so I was funnily enough, because we have Dan Albert here, but I was comparing this main event to like a Kingdom Hearts situation, because we have like a very like overly serious villain here against like a silly cartoon character in Ricus Duplessis. and and it showed up that the evil won this time.
Yeah, as the person Fenyo knows who is actually qualified to say whether or not that statement is correct, he's right. Um, but it's okay. In several Kingdom Hearts games they lose anyways. I just happen to know that. Doesn't matter though. I'm here for the gameplay.
Let's go. So yeah, there was no amount of being carried by Donald Duck that could save Ricus Duplessis on this one. So
Didn't stop him in the last minute from just doing cartoonish bullshit.
he was close on the he
But
was close a few times on the fifth round to like really do the bullshit cartoonish stuff.
yeah, I mean,
But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I knew like 10 minutes in it wasn't gonna happen, even if he got something. Just how it went so far, or but just yeah. I mean, I knew something funny was gonna happen,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, I was right.
As I said on my preview, I was expecting this one to go to decision, but I thought this one was going to be closer, because I thought that what happened on the fifth round was going to start happening like earlier, like around the third of or the fourth round. That would have led us to a more interesting fight, right?
Yeah, definitely. In many ways, it this is a fight that when I was looking at it going in, I mean, I didn't look at it extensively, but my initial gut read was like, this is probably going to come down to physicality, but if it comes down to other intangibles and it gets messy, the onus is on Drakis to make it messy, and then it becomes down to like whose respective kind of insistency in their game wins. 'Cause you have two different kinds of insistency with like both guys. The guy who's willing to keep throwing things at a wall and see what sticks, versus a guy who has like a very narrow like game that he just happens to be very very good at enforcing.
Yeah.
But we never got to that. So my other thought was, however this goes, if it does become one-sided, which it was, it's probably going to look very obvious in retrospect. And sure enough, I think that's what happened. But I think everyone would have said if it is going to be one-sided, it's going to come from Chimaev, and that's practically what happened.
Hey, Claudio Monteda with an off-topic question here. He asked if Mobstar can be champion. He can be, but it's looking hard right now. Not because of his skills, but because like it seems like the UFC doesn't want him to.
Opposition.
So if he doesn't get a title shot, like he cannot be champion, right? I feel like Volkanovski is a rough matchup for him, but considering that
Mm-hmm.
Volkanovski is kind of old, I wouldn't say that it's unwinnable for Mobstar. uh Mozart. Like he's like a mix between Mozart and Mozart. But yeah, I think Ibloyev could be champion, but I see it as not very likely because of politics and because like he's not like the clear number one guy in the division. He could become champion, but without the backing of the UFC, it's looking not very likely in my opinion.
Yeah, and without the UFC's matching things up with say Murphy, Pico, and like Lopez for Silva, like that number one contender argument is just slowly like going away
Yeah, so
because they're
Mobster will
pushing
have
for
to
other
fight
guys.
someone else
Because the
now.
UFC is definitely going to push for John Silva to hopefully beat Lopez. They're
Yeah,
really banking on that.
yeah, I really think that Mobster like really like deserves a title shot. But the problem with a guy like being like denied a title shot is that as guys start getting like new, more impressive wins, your old bid for the for our opportunity starts looking worse, right?
Yeah, it's tough. Like he's definitely a skilled fighter. Definitely some shakiness on stand up that makes like some of his contemporaries a bit tricky, but yeah, the main problem for him right now is the UFC seems more interested in booking like Jair Rodriguez number 2 for some reason
Yeah.
and instead and I mean that kind of speaks for
Yeah,
itself.
once the title shot was starting to like run away from Mobstar, I think the thing that he should have done is was calling for Jair Rodriguez because I feel like that's a super winnable fight for him and would make him look very good. But yeah, at least he took that fight against Pico. But then again, he ended up not fighting him, which we'll be talking about Pico after that.
Mhm.
Arman can beat Ilya like Hamza did with DDP. I think Ilya is a way better wrestler than Duplessis.
Very different matchup too.
And Arman is not the kind of wrestler that Hamza. So if Arman wins, it's not going to look like that at all. I feel.
Yeah, I mean Armin's definitely gonna have to weaponize like fence or like reactive shots to get to Taporia. It's easier said than done to do that because of how Taporia like disguises his footwork,
Yeah.
and it's very dangerous for Armin, who's kind of a bit one note, even if he is pretty intelligent with what he does.
Yeah. Arman, I would say is pretty smart. Some like things in common. Maybe not the natural feel that Rikus has on the feet, but way cleaner mechanically, and
Hmm.
obviously a way better wrestler and grappler.
Yeah,
So taking it back to Chimaev versus Rikus, that was another thing that the few times that they were exchanging strikes, actually the better mechanics of Hamsat were paying dividends here because there
yeah,
were no like super obvious mistakes that Rikus could take advantage of here. So even though like we know that Chimaev is not like he's not going to be beating like I don't know Imavov on the feet, right? But he's like pretty decent on the feet and being like pretty decent when you have such a good like A game is actually very good.
yeah. Dreykus's whole deal on the feet is like he's a mess, obviously, but he constantly one does things, and sometimes just the very act of doing a lot and being willing to do a lot matters quite a bit against most guys who can be made uncomfortable. Unfortunately for him, middleweight's full of a lot of head cases right now. The second thing is that Dreykus like is still like astute enough to like go, if this works, I'm going to keep doing it over and over again, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to keep trying something else until I find what sticks. And the only real success he had in this fight on the feet was something that I think Chimaev struggles with anyways, which is when you throw a lot of noise at range. You could tell like with Usman that bothered him a little bit to like delaying his entries for takedowns, but it didn't do a lot once Dreykus's turn ended. And Chimaev could just go, oh, my turn, jab, and now you're back it up again, and now I can just shoot.
Yep. Um, I'm just adding some text over here just to catch it up later. This is very off center, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, I know that we have Badger in the chat. He says Mobster is done. Everyone is all about Miracle Murphy. Now Bulk is cooked. I'm actually very excited about Murphy versus Volkanovski, but we'll get into that
I am too.
when we get to
Yeah.
talk about Murphy versus Pico. But another few words about like Chimaev and Duplessis. I think that Duplessis showed some good decisions when it came to strategy and tactics as he usually does. Uh, I think the one of the things that made Chimaev take him down in open space instead of against the fence, it was that Rikus was not conceding range super easily like other guys. And I think that was the right thing. The problem is that he was not prepared for the shot at all. Like he was very slow to
No.
react, and Chimaev is that kind of guy that his shot is very fast, but he usually doesn't finish. He usually does not finish the first shot. He has to make some adjustments, and if you're late to the first shot, you are probably done. The
Yeah.
depth and the athletic, the athleticism of his wrestling is going to get you down eventually.
Mhm.
And that was
Yeah,
the case. Like,
Ed always put it best. Like the thing with Chimaev is like his shots and some of the like technique for what he does is kind of not necessarily great, but it's always his ideas and what he's doing in between or next that makes it matter. Like he's not like I think like you're gonna look at his takedown entry and go, oh wow, Chad Mendez double leg, gorgeous. But you'll see how he changes it into the next movement and then the next movement,
yeah,
and that's where like he's gonna be a problem for guys.
yeah, and it's like,
Um,
and
and
that was the big thing for Dricus because like Chimaev, as we know, like he shoots super low, so if you try to grab like a whizzer or an underhook, then you start working from there. But Duplessis was like trying to grab an underhook when Chimaev was already on step two. He was already turning a corner. He was already grabbing an ankle. So it was like a losing battle for him. And then on the ground, I think we all agree that for the first like 2 or 3 rounds, I guess you could say that Duplessis was like maybe doing the smart thing with taking it super easy. But once he realized that Chimaev was not getting very tired, I think Duplessis needed to start like taking risk way earlier in the fight if he wanted to make something happen.
yeah, it was a bit frustrating just to see like, and I know with Dreykus we can only ask for so much. Somebody not like actively fighting grips with Chimaev, so to speak. That was pretty frustrating, I'd say. Because the big thing with Chimaev and grappling is like, that's the one thing I really wish like Rob Whitaker could still do. But as we know, Rob Whitaker is pretty past it, and his like actual clinch fighting has like heavily regressed from like say Romero one, where like he's actively fighting those wrists and stuffing the takedowns. Like seeing somebody actively engage Chimaev in those chain wrestling like defenses just feels like something we just haven't really gotten, and it's kind of unfortunate from a
Yeah,
defensive level. But like Dreykus is very slippery, but he's not like the kind of guy who's just gonna do something that's like mechanically impressive from
yeah,
like grappling defense.
that's the thing with it's very similar to his striking. Like he has some good ideas when it comes to grappling, and I feel like he's less mechanically janky when it comes to grappling, but he does like way more obvious mistakes and like we saw, I guess, for example, like Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman at times, if you like get a good read of the early shot and you deny like getting Chimaev getting into like the second phase of his takedown, you can actually like defend takedowns from him. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
impossible. And we saw like Dricus defending like two, I think, on the fifth round too, because Chimaev was already getting tired.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I think Chimaev definitely took it like at a slow pace himself because I think like there was probably a part of him that's like I want to figure out how to age like 5 rounds with my game without expending too much. And to his credit,
yeah,
he
you
did
can
that.
tell
He looked impressive.
yeah, you can tell like I mean I think it was a very impressive performance, but still you can tell that cardio is never going to be like an advantage for Chimaev. He
Mhm,
obviously has like decent cardio, but you can tell he was still pretty tired going into that fifth round despite having exactly the fight he wanted.
mhm.
And I feel like
Yeah,
maybe it was a bad investment for Chimaev to take it like so easy. Maybe he could have invested a bit more energy in doing like damage to the body. So both guys were like more tired going into later into the fight. So I think overall, when you have like such a controlling fight, such a controlling style, I think it's always better to like do more damage, as much damage as you can. Like obviously not you gotta find a balance between damage and how tired you are getting yourself, but you gotta find that balance because if you do no
yeah, because
damage and the other guy is fine, and when you get tired and he's not tired, you're giving them a chance, and that was
Yeah, and if that guy could have stopped it, like if Dreykus could have stopped it, then that's a concerning thing.
yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, what would have happened if like Duplessis started like taking risk on round two and he doesn't get finished, but he makes Hamzat work, right? And then what happened in round five happened on round three. Then round four would be even worse for Chimaev, right?
Which
So
I think begs the question of like, for the guys, Chimaev has like some interesting guys coming up, to, like fight him, who can still like push kind of paces, aren't willing to give away initiative, and are like actively like urgent in ways that Dreykus probably won't be. I think you and I agree Fluffy is the big one and the one we all want to see the most.
yeah, but actually, I think like the top four is not free at all for Chimaev. I think all bring like
No,
interesting stuff to the question. Even Imavov, like
true.
Imavov is like a more fundamentally sound wrestler than Rikus, and and a way better striker than he is like better built to punish the reactions of a like a more like not as experienced striker as Chimaev is.
Hmm.
So I think like, and then after that
Yeah,
like, yeah, go.
like like I suspect Strickland will be very very annoying for him if he ever fights him.
Yeah, this
But
version of
Strickland's
Strickland maybe not, but I think like, but if he
yeah,
shows up like
exactly.
in very good shape, he could be like problematic for Chimaev
If
actually.
Strickland Yeah, Strickland can be hot and cold, but if he shows up, then yeah, he's going to be annoying. Um
And
yeah,
then
I think the clinch attacks of the Riddler almost said the Riddler. You're all
yeah,
welcome.
just say it like
Um,
that actually.
the Riddler could really bother him in the clinch, especially if he forces the tie-ups. But he might get taken down and put through the same meat grinder. Fluffy's the big one for me because Fluffy can force an exhausting pace and is like good enough in like defensive like scrambles, such as like his two fights with a dangerous
Yeah,
grappler like
and
Brandon Allen.
and the thing that when it comes to Fluffy and the Reader against Chimaev, uh, I feel like the problem with the Reader, what I like about the Reader is that he's huge, he's enormous, he's very strong in the clinch, and he obviously is a very good grappler, like a better grappler than Rikus. The problem for the Reader, I feel like that he's like a bad wrestler, like, and he would be like starting his game from very bad positions on the bottom, and I don't know if you want to do that against Chimaev. Like Fluffy, on the other hand, is a lot more sound when it comes to fundamental wrestling, just like as I mentioned with Imavo. That means that when Chimaev shoots, like Fluffy is going to grab a wizard, is going to angle his hips, is going to try to put his weight on top, and Chimaev is not going to get like such a dominant position immediately against guys like those. I feel like the Reader is going to like his lack of wrestling is going to cost him there because I feel like he has the grappling ability, but if you're boy, you don't want to play bottom game against Chimaev. I feel.
Mhm. Yeah, like I the other thing about Chimaev though is like I he does benefit. It's easy to forget that he's 34. I think it's also like it's middleweight, so it's probably not a big deal
And he,
compared to other
and he
divisions.
has like he should have like very low damage to his body, other than getting like insanely sick every other week. But when it comes to like fight wear and tear, like
Yeah,
Chimaev
as well.
has only have gone through that like Gilbert Burns fight
Yeah,
and nothing else. So
yeah,
and and Chimaev
yeah.
is
I mean,
31,
and that's
so he's pretty young still.
that's why Fluffy's such an interesting one. Yeah. Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah,
My fault.
he's
Okay.
pretty young still.
But yeah, I can say it's been a while since I would actually be very excited since I've been that excited for a middleweight fight, but I hope they make Chimaev Fluffy down the road. That's
Yeah,
definitely the fight
I really want
down the
Chimaev
road.
versus Fluffy. But as I've said like multiple times, it's a lot more likely that the winner of Imavov and Caio Bohalio is going to get the next
Yes.
shot. But that's interesting too. Whoever wins there, it's actually a good fight. So
Yeah. No, I can see it too. Yeah, that's definitely something to consider moving forward. But yeah, I think like just to round it back though, Chimaev, great performance. Like he's the guy currently. he's got a lot of interesting tests coming up. Hopefully, they are as interesting as we've seen. There's some discourse that I don't think you and I need to weigh on about how boring it was, but
In
yeah, I
performances,
think like
in performances like this, I always like tend to blame the guy on bottom. To be honest, like
yeah, I mean hold it against Strikers for not being able to do anything. That's just it. But thanks, Badger. Yeah, that's um yeah, that's about all I gotta say at this point.
it was a good fight. I mean, it wasn't not a good fight, but it was an impressive performance, especially considering that Ricos has been like so weirdly dominant himself. So see him like
It's the end of the faceplant era, but that's a good thing though, because as funny as memes are your division in order to get better isn't going to get better with a mimetic fighter.
yeah,
It's just not.
yeah. It reflects better on the division to have Hamstad as the champion. To be honest, um.
Yes, it does.
So let's move on
Well, I missed
to
the jokes, yes, but at least we got it for those of you who wanted chaos.
let me check the text here for. Okay, so let's talk about Leron Murphy versus Aaron Pico. So a lot of people were very excited, very excited for Aaron Pico in the UFC. I've always thought that Pico is obviously like very good, has a lot of potential, but
Mhm.
I picked Murphy here. I thought that he had the nuance to deal with Pico, which is exactly what Pico doesn't have, and I feel like people. I think one thing, before we get into the actual dynamics of the fight and everything, people were like underestimating Leron Murphy as an athlete. He's like a high level athlete, man. He's quick, he's strong. He was going to like tell like Pico, hey, I'm not one of those guys that you can just bully here, and it actually showed.
Yeah, like I always remember the first time I saw Lerone Murphy was when previewing for you for him to fight Takugov back then, and like for all the flaws of that guy, like if you could compete like physically with that Tugov, yeah, that's a sign that you're a pretty good athlete, I'd
Yeah,
say.
Tukugov is a pretty
Um,
good athlete. Yeah,
yeah. So for Murphy Pico, I think it's an excellent lesson as far as like talking about like pressure tactics in MMA, so to speak. And I released an article on my Substack. You can find it on Twitter if you follow me this morning. But just to go over essentially what Pico's problem is. So the short version is when you're dealing with pressure fighters, the big thing that pressure fighters are looking for is an objective of control, which means they favor positioning in order to make sure their setups are safe as far as offense and defense. And the thing about Pico is, as soon as this fight starts, he is good about recognizing, okay, Murphy, I don't want to give him space. I'm cutting him off. Good. I'm already punishing him for that kind of thing. Oh, he's open to the body. I can go for that. Now, the problem for Pico is that in between the moments where he's cutting him off and then attacking, not only are all of his attacks coming in a straight line as soon as he pins him, he also isn't diversifying a lot of the rhythm him to like hide his setups at all. So he's focusing on like the actual like offensive commitments and punishes instead of looking at his positioning whatsoever. And with the best pressure fighters the sport has ever seen, they don't do it like that. That's why they surprise and scare the shit out of everyone they fight. Like why Taporia is so terrifying because that's why he knocked out Holloway because it's like I've set up this left hook from an angle you can't see. But Pico, he's constantly looking for the left hook to the body, or he's using the right straight to go for that takedown. So Murphy keeps intercepting him each and every time, either with the clinch or like elbows and knees. And Murphy's predictable in the sense that he has his back to the fence, but Pico's not making it matter at all because Pico himself is predictable. And so that's ultimately what gets Pico killed in this fight.
yeah. Another thing that yeah, Pico has like a very like he has some like he understands some good fundamentals about like pressuring. Like he sidesteps well. He stays on top of people. He sometimes uses strikes to cut people off, so that's good. Um,
Hmm.
and he doesn't back up often, right? Which is like something that you want to see from a pressure fighter because it can like destroy your pressure when anything that the other fighter does like makes you take 5 steps back, right? But the
Yeah.
big problem with
One.
Pico is that but Pico could maybe afford to back up sometimes, um, because if you don't have like the nuanced defense to stay on top of people all the time, like you know how to get them back to the cage, so you could back up when you're unsure. That's one thing that I would say about Pico, and the other one is that some of the entries are way too big. Like you cannot expect people to just be terrified of what you're going to do, especially on that last sequence when he got the spinning elbow. He was like squaring his stance to step again into that big left hook, and it's like, bro, you cannot like just square in front of a guy and expect him to do nothing.
That's what
That's
I
like,
meant by like he keeps coming in straight. Like he's not putting out a jab to like fake anything that often. Like he does use like a jab like once or twice, but that should just move Murphy. He doesn't like do anything to mix up the tempo at all.
yeah, I
What
mean
he's gonna do.
he jabs at times and he feints at times, but he doesn't do it at the most important times, which is like getting a
Exactly.
reaction immediately before you do a big action. And that was the problem, that he was doing like these huge actions and Murphy was answering with his own big actions. The difference was that Murphy knew where Pico was going to be. And as I've said like many times, any move is the wrong move if your opponent knows you're going to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, like Murphy in this position, like for a pressure fighter, it's like, cool, I can predict him. What's he gonna do? He's gonna try to lead so I can counter him, or he's gonna wait for me so he can try to counter something I do. Ooh, with that kind of space he has. But with Pico, oh, the subtle part is Pico just didn't diversify anything, so it didn't really matter because Murphy could just go, oh, we can go one for one then, and I know what to do to like kind of stymie you. So now we're in the clinch, and you're getting stalled and getting nothing done.
Yeah. So Murphy was finding the answers, and and at the end, I felt like Murphy was going to find himself more in open space and using his jab, which was what I was expecting. But
Mhm.
he found like a way easier solution to the puzzle before that we went into that territory.
Yeah, it's like Woodley if Woodley was actually good.
If Woodley had
That's the
like
most.
all the tools to find what he wants to do, but on the flip side, like Woodley had like insane like next level power to scare people, something
Mhm.
that Murphy doesn't have the luxury of.
Yeah, I'm being a bit hyperbolic for those of you who just heard that, but basically, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's very hard to fight on the fence, and oftentimes, if you're not getting punished on the fence, like it's the opponent's fault in the same way that it's Dreykus's fault he couldn't do anything about Kamzat. But at the same time, though, there are very clever ways to fight off the fence if you know what you're doing, or you can like time guys effectively. And Murphy did a pretty good job here against a guy who, despite the things we've criticized, he's pretty dangerous on the
He's
fence.
very dangerous, yeah. Uh, like time him like that on entry is not as easy as it looks because like most
Hmm.
fighters are going to respect the actions from Pico just because he hits so hard. And
Yeah, there's
he's mechanically clean too, so the targets are not like super easy to get to. Like Murphy like maybe Murphy's not like maybe the biggest hitter in the division, but he was like placing those dynamic movements very well in this fight.
it was the it was a product of the matchup really helping Murphy here, but also at the same time like despite the fact that Pico hasn't like figured out a maximum between his dynamicism and like pressure yet, could be really scary. Um, at the same time, though, there probably aren't many featherweights who, in those positions, could have been able to handle them the way Murphy did.
Yeah, I was actually very excited about the Ibloyev fight because like it was probably a fight where Ibloyev was not going to be able to impose his wrestling. But Ibloyev has some tools for himself on the feet. Like he actually is a very good jabber. He's a lot more sketchy than Murphy a lot of the time, but but he's maybe a little bit of a bigger hitter, so it would be interesting to see if he was going to find counters on Pico or if he was going to able to like compete with him during transitions. I still wish they make that fight, to be honest.
Mhm. Too. Yeah, it's I do see a lot of people going Pico's issues are because of like being chinny, and it's like no, that's not it at all. Basically,
I
it,
mean,
it
yeah, he ate some big shots in this one without getting killed. It's the but if you're
I mean
like
that spinning elbow would have knocked out
anyone,
most of the
yeah, no
roster.
one's surviving that. Like maybe like a prime Brian Ortega.
Yeah, but like most of the issues for Pico is just a matter of just like still needing to refine himself, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is pretty scary. That I don't think there are many featherweights, especially with a seeming transitional period going on right now, that are going to get past him that easy.
yeah,
That's unless you get to the very top guys.
he went to the very top guys for this one. Like, let's be honest, like Murphy is
Yes,
part of the lead of the
Mur-
division right now.
Murphy's a top five at minimum in this
Yeah,
division right
yeah,
now.
for sure.
He might well be number 2 or 3.
So let's get into the other spinning back elbow. So
The
uh,
crazier one, actually, if you could believe it.
there was a crazier one than this one. Smokey Carlos versus Jeff
What a
Neal.
post fight interview, dude. Uh,
Okay. So Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. Knockout artists, Southpaw versus Southpaw. Those kind of they can those usually get like violent in my experience.
it
Um,
didn't take long for them to start trying to get very violent either.
yeah. And I was saying like before the fight that I was favoring Prates for a few reasons, but the bigger one, other than him being long, it was that he actually he feels a lot more comfortable in a close stance matchup just because he has a jab, he has a better lead hook, he has the outside leg kick, he has the conventional tools of a close stance matchup. While Jeff Neal, for as good as he is, he relies a lot on the open stance tricks, the change ups, the double attacks, open side
Mhm.
counters, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Neil had a good idea early behind the jab, and at first it was kind of making Prates go, "Well, this is really annoying." But then the moment Prates started jabbing back with him, it let Prates like intercept the entries like every single time, and from there Prates kind of just took over until the knockout. One of the reasons, one little thing Neil does when he's really uncomfortable is like, I don't know if you noticed this, Fenyo, but like he constantly like moves his rear foot back towards his front foot to have to reset to either
Yeah,
switch and the like, and that's exactly what happened whenever Prates like intercepted him,
and
and
when
or like when he set up the knockout blow.
yeah, and when Neil was like getting into the pressure, he was making Pratis like pretty uncomfortable. Like he was
Yeah.
like circling a lot around the cage before he settled in the last minute or so. And I feel like Neil should have shown a bit more urgency.
Hmm.
Um, and he was lacking like those cage cutting like tools at the very end, like when Pratis was trying to like circle very widely around the cage. That was the moment to open up with leg kicks or high kicks, and Neil was just like allowing him and just like trying to pressure again from zero. And then Pratis like settled and he started like showing like better tools to deal with the pressure of Neil. Started like pivoting a lot more. Started like letting Neil like lead and then like just focusing on defense for a little bit to just stay safe, and then coming back with his own offense instead of like creating an exchange or trying to counter. It was a pretty good performance by Pratis, I feel.
Yeah, it was a good one once he adjusted. Like, yeah, and it's probably not like the most indicative thing of like him being able to handle like guys who are naturally tough for him in this division, like Gary or JDM. But like his sense of opportunism, his reads for shot selection, like anyone on his team usually seems to have a knack
Yeah, I
for,
don't know how they
or
do
at fighting
it.
their sense of rhythm is Romero-esque, is all I can fucking say. And I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy that
like,
they have so many of those in the same gym.
yeah, and so like the knockout itself is fucking insane just because if you know how fucking durable Neal is, and how hard practice has to hit to make that count. Because of that, plus like the actual like danger of like picking up the right shot selections, then there aren't a lot of welterweights you can feel naturally comfortable with if like in a fight with him. I
Yeah, for
mean, like
sure.
you joked about this. Like Buckley would be the easiest pick on the planet Earth for anything ever, but like you and I would have to like take a step back about Shavkat with how hittable Shavkat is, and just go
Yeah,
oof.
yeah. It's like yeah. At first glance, I'm like, of course, Shavkat beat Carlos Prates, and then I remember how much Shavkat gets hit, and it's like, do you really want to get hit often by Carlos Prates?
Yeah, I mean, like JDM and like Gary feel like the only guys who can like reliably like handle that margin, and like even then, Gary still nearly died.
And yeah, we saw what Gary like lost a step for a second, and he almost died immediately.
Yeah, utterly terrifying fighter. Best of luck. I mean, Brady would be really interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
because we
That'd be
actually don't know how that goes. But the technical defense has looked very solid, like surprisingly solid for a long
yeah.
kickboxer, to be honest.
But
Let me.
anyways, we've learned one thing though. Our chain smoking god is back in action, and chain smoking is officially the best base in
I
MMA.
really hope
You
they.
heard it from him.
I really hope
Incredible
they
post-fighter.
book him for UFC in Brazil later. Uh,
Incredible post-fight interview.
Yeah,
One
that
of the
was
funniest
fantastic,
I've
man.
ever heard.
Let me get back to the chat a little bit here. Raul
Yeah.
Menendez says, I don't know, I think Mobster can beat all in the division. I'm not quite sure. I think like he already had like very close fights with Arnold Allen and Aljamain Sterling. I feel like he could be champion, but it's not like a surefire thing. It's not like he's being the champion being denied. I think he deserves a shot and he has a chance, but I wouldn't be so sure about him beating everyone.
Yeah,
Claudio
and if he does become champion, it's not going to be a long one, most likely, or it's not going to be a
and that's
safe
not
reign.
like saying he's bad. It's just that the division is way too
No, no,
competitive at
not at
this
all.
moment.
Yeah, especially for his
I
style, and it's
wouldn't,
not just
yeah,
him. I could say that for
I wouldn't
not
even
just
like
him. I
be
would say
sure
that
about
for
like Jan Silva being a long time champion either. So,
actually, yeah, I'd agree with that.
um, Claudio Monteda says you heard about rumors about Valentina versus Wei Li. Who can win that fight? That one is very interesting because like Valentina is like kind of passive, and I've heard some things. Let's just say that, but it's a very interesting one. I feel like Valentina has regressed a little bit and she's like past her prime right now. And Whaley
Mhm.
always comes with good preparation. So let's just say that. I won't say more than that. Badger says Murphy gonna do bulk and give featherweight a legitimate champ again. You are ready to see bulk get head kicked again. And I would not be surprised if Murphy finds like a head kick
No,
on.
Murphy is a very intriguing matchup for Volk because like they have very similar like kind of technician brains is a good way of
Yeah,
phrasing it for me. Plus, like Murphy has like good ideas in the clinch. He's good as a neutralizer, has a very like intelligent jab in the way that Volk does. Plus, he's a southpaw, and Volk just naturally gets a bit annoyed by like southpaw dynamics,
yeah.
especially for the kicks and counters, especially counters. I would need to check some things out about Murphy's counterpunching game versus the shifting entries. Plus, Volk is kind of lost a step, but no, it's a very intriguing matchup for
I feel like
Volk.
I feel like yeah, the big difference is that Murphy's like more eclectic when it comes to like shot selection, and Volkanovski is like more meat and potatoes in that sense, but he's like more creative in how he creates the opportunity to get his shots, and he likes like doing like more like immediate like pairings. Bulk, like he loves that like pairing the inside leg kick with the jab and layering the left hook on top of that. He's more that kind of a striker, while Murphy is like he tries to find connections between like a wide array of variety. So he tries to see where the like spinning back kick fits in with like some boxing combinations, with some like kicks from southpaw. So it's a very interesting dynamic that they have going on there. It's a very cool fight actually.
Mhm. Yeah, it's actually one of the fights I would want to see the most on the calendar, actually.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I hope they do it before the year is over.
Hmm.
You wanna
Jeff
talk
Neal
about
is Jeff Neal is good. Party is over. Bloody Southpaw haters has sent it. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite things about Jeff Neal is like he doesn't really have like a much of a jab sometimes, so he just decides to keep spamming the rear straight as a
He
jab.
does, yeah,
It's
he does.
very interesting.
He half of the time doesn't have a right hook either. He sometimes do have like a very good like lead uppercut though, like a long uppercut, like the one McGregor used to use like a long time ago.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great point. Yeah, great call.
Um, wanna talk a little bit about MVP versus Canyoneer?
Um, man, QAnon's had better days, man. Can't believe it. You got outdone by a guy who may or may not be a weeb. Now you know it's over. Um, I think MVP looked actually pretty solid, but I don't really know because I didn't watch the full fight. So maybe you can comment. Like, I think it's obvious or has been obvious. Cannonier's been a bit past it, but like, and style has kind of carried with age a bit better with MVP overall. But like, yeah, he had some moments of like good distance management and stuff, and just completely flummoxed and freaked Cannonier out. Yeah, not the most inspiring fight to watch, but that's not really something that matters here.
Yeah, it was fun at times, but I think like I'm guessing MVP was expecting Canyoneer to give him more to work with, and he was very passive. And like MVP is never one to do like a lot when you're being super passive. Uh, I'm really, I was really disappointed that the game plan for Canyoneer wasn't like super leg kick heavy because that's something that he actually knows how to do well, and
Oh yeah,
he
you're
really
right.
didn't go for that much.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
knew when
even
he
on
went.
top, like he on top too, like he's usually a pretty prolific ground and pounder, right?
Yeah, yeah. MVP is very good at stalling from bottom, though. It's like he doesn't work
Oh
escapes in
yeah,
camp. He's
okay.
like, yeah. But I like Kenny actually like immediately started winning the fight once he was on top. It was very clear that he was the superior grappler, but it was like a little bit too late. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Kenny is super old, so I'm not going to hold this one like super against him, to be honest. Do you think Canyoneer psyched himself into the Ian Gary? You can't kick MVP mice. Probably.
I mean, Cannoneer psyched himself into a lot of fucking things. Let's be real.
uh, he crystalled himself into a lot of things.
Jeff Neal is Tyron Woodley by way of Andre Arlovsky. I love
that's
you, Badger.
that's insanely rough for the poor guy, man.
Uh,
It's funny. It's only on MMA you can like insult a guy by referencing him in comparison to world champions, man.
it's awesome. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about MVP Cannoneer, really. I didn't watch most of it, and I didn't rewatch most of it. So I'm sure you covered.
Yeah. Let's talk about rest of the card. Um, what was the other?
Can we
What was the other fight on
Dominic
the?
Cruz, Dominic
Oh,
Cruz on meth, ending the reason party.
oh, the Team Elliott looked great, man. I actually
Yeah,
like a lot his
it's
performance, to be honest.
I love Tim Elliott. He fights like a wandering, like missing, like lost, sheltered person, and who has had insane amounts of crack. That's why for years I've called him Dom Cruz on meth because that's how he like stumbles. His fight with Dotson, by the way, oh my god, just one of all-time comedy action fight at an athletic disparity. Dotson's doing like stumbling football tackles while Dotson's leaping in the midair. I
And he,
digress.
I
But
was
like,
I was laughing out loud during the live fight because he started this fight with the same spinning kick that he did against Dodson.
it's awesome.
It
Yeah,
was awesome,
and then
man. It
there's
was
like,
like the
yeah,
because we
just
were just talking about that before the fight, like a day before.
the best part. No, I love Tim Elliott because like even DJ like after he beats him just goes, man, that was like wrestling a damn muskrat. But I'm still pretty as a motherfucker, which is like one of the only decent things DJ's ever said. But like, damn muskrat is like
Yeah,
perfect because
that was quality by DJ. You gotta give him that.
yeah, like No, Elliott gave DJ one of his tougher title defenses,
Yeah,
in
for
case I
sure.
remember. Still got
You could
yeah,
argue
just
took two
because just
rounds, so
yeah, Elliott's so interesting because like his unorthodoxy actually just fucks guys over, but he's just so scrappy as well, even at this late age, because he's like what 39, which is
uh,
crazy.
37, I think, but for flyweight, that's
Late
crazy.
30s, yeah, yeah. But just like yeah, what really fucked with like Kai Azakura here is like Kai's whole idea was okay. Every time he reset, it's like goes backwards. I'm gonna blitz in to a flurry, but Elliott's just like, what if I just spam kicks at open range in the cage space, and you can't do shit about it? And he was right. And so then Kai starts getting psyched
Yeah,
out when he can't like use the lead hand at all. So he just starts pressing him and like starts taking over from there,
I
and
like
then
all
starts
the
doing this weird. He does like this one pose, Elliot. I'm gonna screenshot it later, where like he brings his hands up like he's an Egyptian like carving, right, and just holds it there for like 5 seconds just to
oh
fuck
my
with
god,
him.
yeah, and yeah,
Awesome.
and all that like the starter steps and all that kind of stuff. Like we're making like I very unsure about like oh when where are the resets here? It's like what was going through Asakura's mind. I feel because like he was waiting for the opportunities to just like open up, and Team Elliott was like just doing stuff like the whole time, like not like throwing volume, but like just like controlling the initiative with all the movement, starter steps,
Mhm.
feints.
Yeah, like I mean, Kai, this is a great example of like a very like decently technical sound like approaches versus a guy who is not technically sound, but why the shit like that isn't like the number one decider of fights sometimes.
Yeah, this was like a bit of like because if Drakus showed like that there are limits to the Yankee fighter, like Team Elliott showed that there are like you can do a lot while being Yankee too, as long as you're smart about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. I think like bit of a drawback for Azakura at this point. Uh, but I think Elliot would have been weird for him at any kind of situation. Elliot's just this demon of chaos that people don't really understand even at this point.
Yep, yep. It was like unlike even for the fans of Kai that said like, "Oh, Kai is so nerfed without the knees to the head on the ground." Like Tivelio did not rely on any like shooting from his knees to take him down. He like took him like flush down. So
Yeah, like whatever like argument you wanted to use about Cage in the ring, that didn't really like matter too much on the stand up dynamics of this fight. I'm just being honest with you. Because when Kai tried to blitz him, he couldn't really get him to like the walls to begin with,
yep.
and at range he couldn't really offer him anything.
Uh, did you catch Susurkaya versus Eric Nolan?
I didn't see that one. No,
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you to watch that one because that one was kind of funny. We have Mihail Alexeychuk against Jaromir Shard as well. You didn't catch that one either.
I I'm so happy Alexeychuk is with the
The fighting
fighting
nerds.
nerds. I feel like just an awesome like for one the only light heavyweight in existence and to not be champion to throw body shots consistently.
Pretty much,
Put him
yeah.
with put him with these like rhythm tempo manipulating psycho demons who keep marching forward or like finding
It's
like
a very cool
psychotic
pairing,
joy.
man. And he has been
It's a
looking
great
good,
pairing.
man. Yeah.
No, and that's cool. He's one of like my favorite like light heavyweights actually. Despite never really getting that far. But hopefully he puts stuff together and keeps winning because it seems like it's a great fit for
And
him
he's
so
still
far.
young, man.
Unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, like GM3 is kind of just like past it, but he was a pretty decent fighter. I'm not too shocked. Like Volkswagen kind of walked through him, to be honest.
Yeah, especially at this stage. It's kind of sad because like yeah, I like GM3 quite a lot, but he has seen better days. I mean, he has been at this like forever. He has more than 50 fights. You did see Lupi Godinez versus Jessica Andrade, right?
I did, and every time I see Loopy, I'm always very impressed with her. Like, it's not every day you see like an outside like mover in women's MMA be that consistent with lateral movement, and especially like a jab as like a keystone to defense is like a counter dipping jab, especially. Like there's a sequence where like Andrade flurries at her, just does the Andrade flurry. She dips under with the jab, V steps back a second, and then jabs again and frames into a takedown off of it. Like just stuff like that you don't really see too often from like women's MMA, that kind of like lateralism kind of work.
Yeah, yeah, but what's
It's
up?
pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, loopy is interesting too because like especially when we see movers, when we see movers in MMA, it's usually the long guys, so it's always like refreshing to see like this like stocky, like decently powerful boxer take that approach, and the wrestler too. It's a very like cool like stylistic style that we used to see a lot more in the past in MMA. Like like for example, Shan Shirk was not like a super committed pressure fighter. He usually like, used to like to fight at open range a lot. And we used to see those like stocky wrestlers in the past that got like good boxing on the outside, and it's a cool dynamic. I feel.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting, Mello. Mello says she's been a bit inconsistent as of late. I wouldn't know. I haven't really watched her since who did she beat last I watched her? I feel like it was Aldana. I think it was Aldana. I
Oh,
think that was
nice.
the last time I watched her.
You're probably mistaken with someone else because Aldana is like two weight class up. But yeah, Lupi look good,
Yeah,
man.
see, I don't remember shit.
Yeah. And
Starts with an A. I
Andrade
don't remember.
Andrade finally got going with good ideas at the end. But she was looking sketchy earlier. I mean, a part of it was like Lupi fighting good, but yeah, Jessica Andrade at the end was finally like standing her ground to try to counter, going to the body a lot more consistently, just like keeping the pressure on Lupi, and that third round was good, man. Like
Hmm.
like Lupi, I
No,
feel like
I like Loopy.
yeah, she's cool, man. She's cool. I like her. Um, Did you catch Hernandez versus Hooper?
Yes. I my immediate thought was holy shit, the Kevin Holland esque footwork, but like somehow kind of better than Kevin Holland. Because Hooper's thing is like he's kind of an enthusiastic like worker than like a good one. Um, and so it doesn't take long for Hernandez to just realize, what if I just step in just slightly to the right, and then I can like keep countering you, and that's basically what wins it.
Yeah. Uh, but Hooper showed a little bit of good stuff. I like that he was starting to find. I
Yes.
feel like Hooper has some good ideas on the fly, because like you can tell that he was not coming in with those uppercuts in mind, and then he started like finding them, and that was a very good read because like Hernandez was getting very low during the exchanges. But the problem with Hooper, and another one to the talk, this one is on the side of good technique, is that he's kind of too janky at times to take the risk that he does. And that was the finishing sequence. So Hooper was like all open on that entry, and Hernandez was like, okay, I'm going to take
Yeah.
it this time. And he like floored
It's
him.
a case of that's why I say enthusiastic
Yeah.
more than a good one. Because like yeah, his ideas were good because it's like okay, I'm kicking, but I'm not conceding kicking range. But sometimes he's just kind of kicking for the sake of activity. Well, Hernandez is like 10 feet away from him. Um, but like there were a lot of good ideas. Like you can tell he's like thinking and trying to figure out like
Yeah. Yeah,
coherent
actually.
stuff to his game moving
And
forward.
And for Hernandez, like watching it live, I was like not super sure about the fighting from super outside, but he proved me wrong finding the beautiful counter that he
Mhm.
did. So props to him. Hernandez, I feel like he looked very good too. He was very composed. He was not like getting flustered with the length. He was like establishing himself a very long range, and if he was like trying to enter, he was like making sure to make Hooper react first, to enter off like the lead the lead hand, or fainting himself in. I felt like Hernandez looked pretty good too.
I think Hernandez looks solid. Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be like a super elite lightweight. Like him accidentally getting that far again. Poor Cowboy murdered him and his ribs. But like, yeah, I think he's going to be just tricky for his positioning for anyone.
And to be fair, like he was bringing the heat to Cowboy earlier,
That is true.
and
Yeah,
and
actually, that's
that's
a great point.
and that's not as easy as people say. Like Cowboy was not Edson Barbosa that you can just like go in and pressure. Like Cowboy has a lot
Yeah,
more tools to do it to deal with pressure fighters than someone like Edson.
yeah.
Uh, and Edson like looked rough, man. I've you didn't catch that, right?
I didn't watch that one, but I'm not surprised. Like some years are finally catching up with Edson.
Yeah, yeah. He looked bad,
Yeah,
man.
Murphy beating the brakes of him does, or whatever happened to that one. Like clearly beating him doesn't surprise me because I knew Murphy was pretty talented, honestly. But like, yeah, Barboza with all his fights, like it's kind of crazy, like that he didn't look more washed beforehand.
Yeah, to be fair, like he looked pretty good against Murphy to be an old fighter. He looked like he looked a lot more passive. It was kind of sad. So because like Drakkar Close has put on a few good performances on his career, and this one was not one of those, and he still won. So that was sad. Um. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, some closing thoughts on the pay per view, Dan.
I a solid pay per view. I mean, like following up like 317 and like surprisingly like a lot of things going on in 318, like a bit underwhelming, but like compared to what you would want, you would hope like Chimaev's like acquisition of the throne was a little cooler, but he showed why he's I guess the guy at the moment. It has a lot of interesting prospects going on. I mean, two of the most insane knockouts of the entire year back to back.
Yeah, man,
Can't
that
be
was
unhappy about
insane,
that.
man. That was insane. That
Back to
was
back too.
back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah, just
Yeah, for me,
yeah,
for me, like
but
Pratt's knockout is like knockout of the year so far for me. Like I think it
yeah.
took the place of Topuria versus Oliveira so far.
I mean, clearly it's like the aesthetic knockout of the year. I mean, just the context, the violence. Like Murphy's knockout was crazy, but just like we've seen Aaron Pico go out before, or
And it was like
and like
and also like I think to consider in those two sequences is that at least you can see like Pico doing something very stupid in that sequence when he got killed. Uh Pratis just went for it like a madman. So
and he did it at the buzzer beater too.
yeah, it was insane. And it's Jeff fucking Neal. Like for anyone who has seen like Jeff Neal versus Shapkat, like you know that guy is like
Neil takes like a clean head kick from hell in that fight, and it's fine.
he's
I'm
fine,
like
man. Like he was not
after
hurt.
like recovering.
Yeah,
He was hurt, but he recovered.
those and people give shit to Wonderboy for being like kind of boring, but usually when Wonderboy has like a shooting range kind of fight, which he did against Jeff Neal, he
The
usually
other guy's
fucks
dangerous.
he usually fucks people up, and like Neal was not hurt once, I think, against Wonderboy. So
Yeah. Whereas if you compare what he did to Luke K, Wonder Boy,
yeah, or to Masvidal as
but
well. Yeah,
yeah, but like, yeah, I think like, and then other little things happen on this card. Some hilarious, some decent. So I think it's a decent entertainment value card. But yeah, I mean, this is more of like a. I think there's some very interesting, cool matchups to be seen in the future, especially for like the top two fight results. But no, top three, sorry. But yeah, decent event. But the highs were the knockouts, dude. Because holy shit.
yeah, the Nuggets were so good, and we have a division moving forwards, which is always interesting. So I think we leave
Right.
it at that. I'll plug your Substack again, please, so people can read
Yes.
your
So my
excellent
Substack.
article.
So I wrote an article about pressure fighting, what constitutes as good pressure, distinguishing it from other forms of aggression. Earlier this morning, you can find it on my Substack, which is typewriting pugilism. But you can find my Twitter at typewriting da. Pun on typewriting chimpanzee because I can put out like 3K words in a day. Don't ask how the fuck I did that. But I'm very happy with the article. References a lot of your favorite performances, and even some you should definitely rewatch because they're awesome. Especially RDA Pettis, but because it's crazier than you think it is. Um, but yeah, just fighting's cool sometimes, and I love talking about pressure fighters.
Okay, cool. I'll be back on the week, and I'll be covering something that we were talking about here, and I'll be making a video about like jankiness in MMA and the limits of it. So look out for that. It's going to be kind of a video essay, more than a straight to the point video that I have been doing lately. So watch out for that. Also check out my video about hands up Chimaev striking if you're wondering about that, because we didn't get to see much of it. We saw a little bit, so look out for that. Before leaving, Rick Allen in the chat is saying, "Do you think Chimaev is gonna convert to Christianity because all of those crucifixes, bro?" I think he needs to have like 10 more and he become like a priest or something. So we'll
We
leave it at
need.
that.
I think you need a symbolic number like 666. I don't know why that one comes to mind immediately. I have it in my walls sometimes. I hear it in my dreams. Um,
It's just a random number that comes to me
yeah,
sometimes. Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes I remember I'm 6 years old, but sometimes it shows up in threes because I have vision
and
problems.
sometimes you are 66 too. So
No, it's vision problems.
okay,
I
uh,
see triple.
okay, that's good. That's good. So thank you guys. We got you on the next one. As always, a pleasure to talk with my friend Dan about fights. I'll be leaving to get some food, and I hope all of you are well. Remember that I'll be back tomorrow with Fight Companion for Contender Series. I'm back on Thursday at like 6 a.m. for stupid like Road to UFC, and I'm back on Saturday at 3 a.m. for UFC Shanghai. I don't know what I'm doing this to myself, but I'm doing it, so look out for that. Love you
To
guys.
support your
Bye.